WISC TV now presents For the Record. WISC TV now presents For the Record.
A year-end and job-end conversation with Downtown Madison Incorporated President Susan Schmitz is next on For the Record. Thanks for joining us. I'm Neil Heinen. After almost 20 years as the leader of DMI, Susan Schmitz is stepping down. No R word, please. Schmitz is not retiring. So we will ask what's next. But first, we look back at 2 decades of growth and change at the Downtown Madison of December 2017 and the city of the future. As I welcome to For the Record, Downtown Madison Incorporated President Susan Schmitz.
Thanks, Neil.
We've been doing this a long time,
yeah,
Susan. I mean,
it's just been a blast.
It's fascinating to think back. Now, where did you start relative to July 18th, 1997?
Oh,
the day Monona Terrace opened.
Right, the day Monona Terrace opened, I still owned my men's clothing store.
Okay.
But I had severe water damage from a storm. So actually the store was closed at that time because it was wet.
Okay, yeah.
So I didn't know what I was going to do.
All right, so
Okay.
DMI, but it was shortly thereafter that you took the job.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
There's so much I want to talk about, Susan, but just let's start by just describe your experience of leading DMI for 20 years.
Well, it's I can't tell you in the public how grateful I was to be given the opportunity to work at a job like I've had for 19 years. It's been amazing because of all I've learned and the great people I work with. I've learned about this community, how it functions, why it functions well, some of the challenges we have.
Sure.
But and across the board, the alders I've worked with, the mayors I've worked with, the city staff I've worked with, my amazing board members over the years, and then we have, and just members, because we now have very active committees within DMI. So it's been the best job ever. Just the best.
I want to talk about how the city's changed, how the downtown has changed, but how has DMI changed in 19 years?
Oh, we've changed. We've changed
so.
A lot. When I came, it was a pretty quiet, like, who are you? What do you do? How different are you from the chamber? Or, you know, those kind of things. And the CVB, Convention and Visitor Bureau. And so the fun part, especially those first like 5-6 years, was, and I worked with one other person, so there were just 2 of us, was making sure that DMI became relevant. And so what does that mean, relevant? So what are we really going to do? What are we going to do that makes a difference? So little by little by little, it was like, it was kind of entrepreneurial at that time, just growing this organization that made sense because you could see it was the beginning of the Renaissance at that time, because Monona Terrace had just opened and it was giving people confidence to invest in the downtown, and then the condo stuff started coming, and just then Overture opened because Jerry and Pleasant Frauchi felt confidence in investing in the downtown, all that kind of stuff. It's just started going, which it hasn't stopped, luckily. But so that part was just really fun. I had so much to learn, though, when I think about it. I had to first learn about all the acronyms. I had to learn about TIF. I had to learn about affordable housing. I had to learn about public works. I had to learn about streets. I just had to learn about
all
stuff,
of which has such an impact on the downtown.
So that's why I feel so fortunate. I love this city, and I still want to be involved in projects.
I don't know what people's perceptions are of DMI, other than a real advocate for downtown businesses. But I have always been struck, and I'm going to give you credit for this, even though you deflect it, that the nuanced conversation that your members and your boards have at the annual meeting, for example, or at meetings that I've attended, about the elements of downtown life go far beyond just business success.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's new discussions of equity, of the importance of education, of all the things that we talk about for healthy communities.
Quality of life issues.
Yep. That I think a lot of people wouldn't think of as part of the DMI's mission, but it is.
Yep, it is. And so early on, I realized, and a really good friend, board member, helped me with this too. He said, you know, DMI is not a business organization, it's a downtown organization. So when people ask, how are you different from the chamber? And I'm not saying anything negative, the chamber does great work, but how are you different? It's like, because we're a downtown organization. And when you're a downtown organization, okay, maybe your footprint's smaller than the whole community, but within that footprint, you're talking about parking, transportation, quality of life, cleanliness, homelessness, and yes, development, parks, open space, all of these kind of things. I mean, if you want to create a vibrant, healthy downtown that's welcoming to everyone, there are a lot of elements to it. A lot of elements. It
feels like a challenge to talk about the downtown Madison of today, because it's changing so rapidly.
Oh, it is.
And we can almost see the future unfolding in front of us. But how would you describe the downtown of today?
Well, the downtown of today is has changed dramatically because of people wanting to live downtown, and that's something that I've seen through my 19 years. Because it was barely starting when I came, and now people just want to live downtown, and then people actually a lot of them need to work downtown with the downtown being such an entertainment district and offering all the restaurants, etc. And there are a lot of jobs downtown where people need to, hopefully they can live near their job, and they don't have to drive a car, because then we get to transportation and parking, which is one of the major challenges that the downtown is going to have. It has now and in the future, because we're on an isthmus. And housing is expensive downtown, so we've got to take care of that too. And a lot of good challenges, but those are good challenges. That's because people want to be downtown. They want to be there for entertainment. They want to live there. They want to work there. So we need to keep it clean and beautiful like it is.
Are you happy with the mix that we have of housing and retail and entertainment downtown right now?
I think so. I think we're going to see more entertainment, which is good, because that's what the market wants. Because the majority of it's a combination, but a big chunk of the residents of downtown are younger. There has been that epic effect.
As we were talking, actually, that's you on your on one of the bikes.
On the B-cycle.
One of the B-cycle.
I love B-cycle.
It becomes such an important part of urban areas around the country. Anyway, we were looking at Monona Terrace. Let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll talk more about downtown Madison. Okay, with Susan Schmitz right after this. After 19 years, Susan Schmitz is stepping down as president of Downtown Madison Incorporated, and we are talking about the last 19 years, and we'll look ahead a little bit. I said before the break we were looking at Monona Terrace. The impact of Monona Terrace continues to be so profound on this community. And that was always its promise, but I would say it has lived up to its promise.
And it was on the lakefront. That was the biggest thing, and that's something something we need to work on in the future, because the number one thing that we hear from the community is they want more public access to the lakes. And so that's something that's just going to have to happen. I mean, that was one of the reasons it was not difficult for DMI to support the Edgewater. That was because it was such a good use of that particular land, and with that public space, there was going to be more access to the lake. That's outside of the Union Terrace, and then Edgewater, and then Monona Terrace. I mean, so that's something that is very exciting to think about.
And I was just going to say, some of the most exciting plans, I think, that are out there right now extend from the Alliant Energy Center along John Nolan Drive, past Monona Terrace, out towards Williamson Street.
I know.
So much potential there.
I know. Don't you want to live long enough to see that, Neil?
Well,
I hope we can. You're younger
too.
than I am, but I hope we can. Because you can. That's something you can kind of picture.
Yep.
And because of that beautiful route looking at the downtown, our beautiful downtown, you know, when you're going along there. Yep. And I do that often on my bike, but it's like, no, this should be better. And there should be better access for the public.
So what's DMI's role going to be in all of that moving forward?
Well, I hope right in the middle of it. We will certainly be pushing that, and the other thing that includes transportation, and that's something that that is probably one of the main issues with DMI, or main challenges, or so much a part of our work is transportation, because we do need a multimodal transportation system for our community, because as far as I'm concerned, all roads lead to downtown. So.
Yeah. Well, and I just want to mention, a week or so ago, I had on Heather Stouter and on the Imagine Madison project.
That's coming along well.
And transportation was like the #1 issue in all of the citizen groups that they talked about.
Right.
And so I think people don't appreciate what a big challenge that is for our city.
It is. It really is, because we did not get the RTA funding years ago with our former governor, and so it's been a challenge. And there's gridlock, and there's too many cars on the road. But it's not just that; it's people getting to their jobs, and if you talk to Dr. Ruben Anthony at the Urban League, he will say, #1 thing, he said, we train people, we get them ready for jobs, they get jobs, and then they can't always get there, and not everyone has a car.
Right.
It's just the way it is.
Right.
And then they have to park it somewhere. And parking is not free anywhere because it takes up land. So.
And it's jobs, but it's also recreation, and it's retail and shopping. It's places of worship.
Right.
It's part of life that people need to get to, and a lot of those places are in what we define as downtown Madison.
Right. So the city has now, they have completed a plan for bus rapid transit, which is really good. So DMI will be well, we already just approved a resolution supporting a BRT, or a BRT system in the city.
Bus
so we can
transit,
can start building that. That will be really, really good. They work well. I've seen them in other cities, and it's good because it's not on a track.
Yep.
But it makes sense, gets people there fast. It works really well.
Put into context, Susan, for us, just some of the problems that we talk about a lot now. And you know, just in the last couple of weeks, there was the rather dramatic headline that gangs had claimed the 600 block of University Avenue. There's concerns about increased gun violence, and it's throughout the city. But even the perception that there are increased troubles downtown. How do you look at that, and how do you put that into context with everything else that's going on? Well,
we do. DMI does take all of that very seriously, because safety is very, very important. People need to feel safe, of course, anywhere, in their home, in their city, and then, of course, we want them to feel safe in the downtown.
Madison Police have a voice in DMI, don't they?
Oh, are you kidding?
Yeah.
Oh, they are religiously come to our quality of life committee and give us updates, work with us, communicate what's happening, seeing what we can do to help, and we've been able to help with many different things. So yes, we've had an excellent relationship with the police department, especially, you know, obviously the Central Police District. We respect them a lot. They work very hard. So it's something that I think is happening, not that it makes it any better, but it's happening in all downtowns. And I think with the open gun laws, it's hard, because now you're dealing with people actually carrying guns around too, and the police even talk about that. They wear their vests all the time because it's like, yeah, because people are on the street with guns. So it's just something we have to work on, but we can, because it takes a bunch of us to work on it. It's not, because you're not going to police your way out of anything, you know, and but you're going to be able to take care of it if you work in partnership. So we do it with designs of areas and getting places active with many people, so then the bad behavior doesn't come there, and you know, that kind of stuff.
That kind of has been my experience in other cities, that the more vibrant the street life, the more people that are out, a lot of times the safer it is.
That's right, and the right lighting and all that kind of stuff, and so it does work. What do they say? There's a word for it that Heather would know, Heather's daughter.
Right.
Something by design. It's like that. The design can help with the safety.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the future of Madison and the future of Susan Schmitz when we come back right after this. Susan Schmitz stepping down after 19 years as president of Downtown Madison Incorporated, and we have looked back a little bit, and we're gonna look ahead here. I think you know, Susan, I've been really influenced by Richard Florida's work and his book, The Rise of the Creative Class, and so his new book is out on the new urban crisis, looking at how many cities fell short of sort of the ideal that I think we all started developing about 20 years ago, about what cities are and what they could be. I think we all agree the potential is still there, but there are challenges that we either didn't anticipate or we didn't meet, you know, when we knew that they were coming, and you know what they are. So what do we need to know? What is your successor, Jason?
Jason Ilstrup.
Yep. What do we need to think about moving forward as in helping to make this city the healthiest city it can be?
Well, in terms of being healthy, I think there are three main areas to focus on, broad areas. You can get down in the weeds as much as you want in terms of how you do it, but it's transportation, it's affordable housing, and then it's diversity. Because the cities of the future are going to have good transportation systems. They are going to have housing, affordable housing. When I talk affordable housing, I'm talking workforce housing. To, you know, I was on this show talking about that. I think, right? Yeah. And then also diverse downtowns, because that's what's happening to our population, and all people need to feel comfortable in our downtown and welcome. They need to feel welcome. And we struggle with that a little bit. I mean, we don't have very many minority-owned businesses downtown, as many as we should and could. And our entertainment, the entertainment downtown needs to reflect that too, the kind of music that different minority groups want to enjoy or like to enjoy. And the good thing is that is starting to happen. I mean, we've got with the Franks and Frank Productions and stuff, they're doing such a good job, and I think that will help a lot to get a really good diverse amount of entertainment. But those are things that we need to pay attention to. Really important. The equity thing is super important.
Are you seeing the influence of the new, the millennial, the entrepreneurial, the startup sector that we know, 100 State and Starting Block? I mean, they're very much a part of the downtown, but are they engaging in the civic conversations that DMI has?
That's a really good question, and they are. And for a while, it was kind of tough because we just had to all get to know each other and start connecting and working together, and I think it's getting so much better.
And don't you think that will have an influence on the diversity issue? Because I see the millennials as speaking that language a little differently than a lot of the older established residents do.
Plus the millennials, frankly, most of them, not most of them, but a lot of them, you know, they look different than you and I do because things have just changed. in our population.
So what's next for Susan Schmitz?
Oh, I hope plenty of projects. I'm excited about. I did briefly mention to you at the break. I'm excited about some work that could be happening with the Nolan waterfront. And I'd like to be part of that project.
Yeah.
That would be a public-private type project, but it's not really soup yet. But people are starting to talk more. Some of the alders are engaged. The city's engaged to just, as I mentioned before, people want public access to the lakes, and we almost need to finish Monona Terrace in a way, like with the boathouse. And then, I mean, when you go down to that area and you look at parking spaces and cars parking on Lake Monona, it's like, is this the best use of this area? And then there is pressure, which I think it's coming together though, but there's been pressure to take care of that traffic, Willie Street intersection,
Blair Street,
which
John
is
Nolan
so
Drive.
awful. But the city's been working really hard on that, and that will change too.
It's an interesting example, Susan, because there are people, Tim Anderson and Dave Mollenhoff and Arlen Kai, people who've been engaged in this sort of visionary work in Madison for a long, long time, are continuing to look at what's possible for this city, and to have them involved in the waterfront, and with you being involved in that too.
There's a good plan. There's a good proposal.
There's such good people in
There
this
isn't a plan yet. I mean, there's a proposal that actually has been fleshed out with some engineering challenges and stuff too for that area by classes at the university, and so a lot of work has been done, and I think it's time to start putting some sort of proposal together. Of course, it changes during the process, but it will take a public-private type partnership group to put that together, just like it did for Monona Terrace.
Yep. So that
exciting.
Alliant Energy, public market, a lot of exciting stuff going on.
Biking stuff, that's a passion of mine.
I do know it is, as we saw in the picture.
We need even better biking infrastructure. So,
Susan, congratulations.
Thank you.
It's been a good 19 years. I look forward to working with you. And what's next?
Thanks. I'll call you up.
We're going to come back and wrap up For the Record right after this. My thanks to Susan Schmitz and to you for joining us on For the Record. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.